Hey everyone, and welcome back to Cosmic Star Gaming. Today we finally finished the Flatwoods, our Cryptid Core Town. So before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload more videos. Now let's finally go tour this town. Alright, to start, I didn't reset, I just completely flattened my old island. I did keep this flag that was on my old island, but I flattened everything else. And the dream address for my old island is still up. I'll leave it up for a few more days before I delete it so that I update it to this new island. And remember, it's still called Hawkins, which is my old island, but technically I'm calling it the Flatwoods. And the Flatwoods is based primarily on West Virginia, and the surrounding Appalachian areas, and the cryptid mythology that goes along with these areas. So when you first step out of the airport, you're greeted to a very natural setting. Some of the rolling foothills that you'll see in the Appalachians, the Alleghenies and whatnot. I really want to set the dream code for this island while it's foggy, but that might make it harder to see some of the little pieces of the island that you're going to need to see. And there's a little underlying theme running along with the cryptid core element that you'll have to actually find quite a few of the little guys that I've placed around the island. So as you exit the airport, you're going to be met with the main town, kind of based upon Braxton or Point Pleasant or any of the other old-timey towns that are seen throughout this area. I did find the flag through a criteria search through the Able Sisters app, just by simply searching Cryptid. I thought it was too cute, and I had to add it to the island. We'll start the main tour by going left for right now. And if you go left, you follow this main road down here, you'll see the foothills following you as you go. And there's an old theater and pharmacy, and different elements of newspaper clippings and posters slathered on the doors to these places and whatnot. And if you keep going around this way, you'll be greeted with one of the restaurants that I tried to emulate, which is the Spot from the Flatwoods or Braxton County, which is a very cryptid themed little diner. They serve burgers and sandwiches and pizza and ice cream, and they have notable sandwiches called Mothman and the Green Monster and all sorts of stuff. It's fun, it's very cute. And as you head up the road this way, it'll start leading you out of the main area and the main town. And the first villager house you'll meet is Coco. She's not home right now, or she's asleep. And I picked Coco because she is supposed to be a gyroid rabbit, and if you're walking around this island, you might actually catch a glimpse of a gyroid, and it's debated on whether or not the gyroids are cryptids, in this town at least. So some of the villagers, as you see, are going to be following the theme of cryptid, mainly Gladys, Wolfgang, Coco, Ruby, and Grizzly. Gladys because she's a sandhill crane. So if you know the Mothman lore, Mothman was heavily debated on him being a misrepresented sandhill crane. So I had to get Gladys. Wolfgang is possibly the beast of Beckley, or another type of blue devil, or another type of werewolf creature. He doesn't believe he is. He's just a regular villager. Coco, obviously, for the gyroid element. Ruby is a very spaced out rabbit, and we can't quite tell if she's from around here or not. She could be visiting just for a little while. Biscuit really likes her though. He lives right beside her. He's very sweet on her. He brings her by the Mothman Museum, which is run out of my house. He helps me run the Mothman Museum, and he does a podcast with me about the cryptids in the area. Roswell also contributes to this, but he's actually, well, you'll see later. I heavily debated getting a gorilla character, even though I cannot stand the gorilla characters. So I ended up getting Grizzly because he's closer, even though his name's Grizzly, probably Grizzly Bear, but he looks more like a black bear. And I have always thought that a grizzly bear or a black bear was what people confuse Bigfoot or Sasquatch with, because they stand on their hind legs, and it looks very eerie when they do that. So I had to get Grizzly. I had to get some kind of bigger bear character. I picked Jeremiah and Shep because they're very kind of, hillbilly, or, if you want to say redneck kind of villagers. They do live up on the hilltop. I had to have a deer character just because of the mountains and the forest aspect. Anyway, as you walk up the road, you will be met with a staple of the Appalachia area as you get further north, a Sheetz gas station, complete with pepperoni/pizza rolls, some more cryptid evidence that is scattered throughout the island. Batboy, who actually did originate in West Virginia out of some old coal mining caves, and even nightcrawlers, which are out of California, but all cryptids are welcome in this town. As you follow the road next to the Sheetz behind Coco's house, you can either go to the right or to the north. If you go to the right, this will lead you to the Hilltop neighborhood. But if you go to the north, you'll be taken to the abandoned mining site. And if you pay close attention to the forests, you might actually see something in them. So if you cross the bridge, you'll be met with a handheld lantern, which you might need through a few areas back here. You can pick that up. And here's our old abandoned coal mine. There are still pieces of coal, buckets of coal, mining carts full of coal. And if you've ever been to these places, actually in West Virginia and the surrounding areas, hang on, what is that up there on the hill? Interesting. Anyway, as we continue, if you've been to any of these areas, they are usually set next to old train tracks. So there is an old train track running through this area that will eventually lead to one of the old head houses and various old rundown buildings of the old mining site. This could be the old hoist right here, and a lot of these old mining sites are under the protection of either the national park or state park. So you'll see a little national park logo that says be careful that you might fall in, and you wouldn't want to do that. But in the old head house where they used to process the coal, something is definitely in there. Something has taken up residence, and it's well known throughout the town that you don't go here after night, but I think I might have disturbed something during the day. As you follow the train tracks down away from the mining site, you will eventually stop at Wolfgang's house. He lives back here by himself. He's kind of a loner, and he's got an old creepy well back here. He's got some interesting things making noises by his house. I wonder what it could be. The train tracks eventually bottom out and go through a tunnel. We don't know where that leads. They're old and abandoned. But if you continue walking and follow the track, you'll be met with an old miner's grave. Maybe this poor soul fell victim to a cave-in or something more sinister. As we follow the gravel path around, we will eventually come to the camping site. Now, this camping site is rarely visited because it does have some tales that go through the town that probably shouldn't stay here. Some people have left evidence, but some of these people might have never been seen again. There are some warnings, and there's some evidence that has cropped up kind of recently. You don't want to go too far back here to another old mining cave, because it does look like something's back there. But if you move away from the camping site, you'll cross a little wooden bridge. And as you see, we're getting to the national park area, which is based on New River Gorge and a cryptid sighting. Out in broad daylight, no less. Have you been able to count how many we've passed thus far? But here's a hiking trail that does lead over here. More cryptid evidence. We'll go that way in a minute. But if we come down this way, this leads us to the Hilltop neighborhood. And if you're coming from this way, you'll first hit Deidre's house. And all of these houses have been redone on the inside and the outside. They all have little special touches. Next to Deidre is Gladys, her resident Sandhill Crane, Mothman enthusiast herself. I did redo the inside of her house too, and she is home right now, but we're not going to go inside quite yet. We're going to go up here first to Shep and Jeremiah's houses. And there's Shep right now. He's walking around cleaning up, even though his whole yard is full of junk. Not so much Jeremiah's, but here's Jeremiah's little section. And this is the little fire pit that they usually talk around because they are best buddies since they were kids. They go on fishing trips and whatnot. They share their own lore of what they've seen during their fishing trips that last well into the night sometimes. They've seen some stuff. Now if you walk down and walk over here, you'll be greeted with Roswell's house. And he's also home, and I also have done the inside of his house. That video is up on the channel as well if you want to see the inside and outside decor. But if we walk around the back side of Roswell's house. Because his name is Roswell, I think we all know where that was going. Now, Roswell has been abducted a few times because they just keep visiting him. And if you know cryptid lore, alien lore is actually intertwined with it quite a bit. So I couldn't just leave the alien lore out of the Cryptid Core Town, but it would seem that somebody else was just abducted. They've left evidence, and it looks like they might be back for Roswell. But as you leave Roswell's backyard, you can venture back in front of the Hilltop neighborhood and back up to where we came from to get into the national park area. And before we go into the visitor center, we're going to take a look on what is inspired by the new River Gorge Bridge. I did try to do kind of a perspective type build here. This was my first real perspective type build, and I don't think I achieved it as much as I would like to have achieved it, but I'm kind of happy with it right now. I like the little cars in the distance, and this is very similar to New River Gorge National Park. There is a perspective area, and this is very similar to New River Gorge Park. There is an area where you can view the and this is very similar to New River Gorge National Park. There is an area where you can overlook the bridge and view the bridge from a good distance. And it is very close to the visitor center, which is right down this way. And it is in my partner's house. Here's the visitor center sign. And of course, there's mining displays in the New River Gorge National Park, actual national park. There are quite a few abandoned mines and mining towns that you can actually hike to, and I have actually hiked to them. Particularly the Kaymore Mine and the abandoned city of Thurmond. And before we go into the visitor center, up here is the museum. If you've actually been to a national park, they usually have a visitor center and a museum-like area that you can go into that basically covers the area and what you're about to go into and what was found there, the start of the national park, and all the history and science that's can be found within the park. Now we can go inside the visitor center. I haven't fully decorated upstairs or downstairs. I just kind of did the main visitor center entrance of what you usually find in most lodges or visitor centers of national parks. You're going to have the ranger station where you can ask rangers questions. You're going to have things on display. You can have pamphlets that you can pick up or maps, a seating area usually, all that good stuff. And I don't think I decorated this side. That side's not completely decorated yet. This side I think is the bathroom. Nothing too fancy here, just a regular bathroom. Something you would find in any visitor center. Don't think this side room is quite done yet. I don't know if I'll complete it or if we'll just leave it blank. I was going to turn it into a gift shop, but I haven't had time to do that yet. So before I update the dream address, I'll probably do something with that. Now, the basement, I don't think I'm going to change. This is actually what my partner had at the start of the game, and it does kind of fit with the Cryptid Island. And I didn't really want it to be part of the visitor center shop, but why not? Now, this was his basement to begin with. And since it's completely dry-rooted out, and I don't know what else is happening here. And I don't subscribe to the missing 411 BS, but we're just going to play with it, I think. We're going to play along. If we exit the visitor center, there's a little trail area, places to sit, stuff that you would normally find. Viewing points, walking trails, sitting areas, picnic areas, and whatnot. Now, if we follow the road back from the visitor center down back towards the neighborhood, you'll be met with a land bridge and beautiful sweeping mountains and waterfalls. Very much pieces of nature that you would actually find in West Virginia and the Appalachians. The road curves down this way. If you go to the left, there is a bridge back over to the Hilltop neighborhood. Keep going this way, you'll reach another hilltop where Grizzly lives. And I did do the inside of Grizzly's house as well, but he's not home right now. He lives in a very mountain type little region. I gave him little pops of red because he does wear a buffalo check red shirt. I thought it was fitting and it matched his house. His house is very log cabin-y feeling. Thought it best suited him and kind of bear Bigfoot Sasquatch vibes. And if you come down from Grizzly's house, the road wraps back around. More waterfalls, more mountain Hilltop scape. And this is just to the right of the town. The road leads down to Biscuit and Ruby's houses. And they have a little neighborhood to themselves. Ruby has a little moped. Biscuit has his little scooter. Biscuit also likes to grill out, and he's kind of lazy. He likes to fish when he's not doing the podcast with me about cryptids. And he has his own little pond right here. He also has a little bit of a thing for Ruby, and as we know, Ruby's not from around here. I didn't do anything to Ruby's house because I believe the inside of it is perfect. And as I suspected, the inside is absolutely perfect and goes along with the theming of Ruby is definitely an alien. And she was sent to the town to investigate the citizens of Flatwoods, but she might actually also have a little bit of a thing for Biscuit. So we'll see. Now, if you leave Biscuit and Ruby's little neighborhood, of course they're closest to the town, and you go to the left, you'll be back at the town. And if you come from this way, you'll be greeted with the Cryptid Museum. Of course, what town in West Virginia is not complete without some kind of cryptid museum? Right outside of the Cryptid Museum is a little Cryptid Museum cafe. You can get your little boba tea, or pick up a coffee, sit, relax, talk about what you've just experienced maybe. There's little photo opportunities. There's merch you can get. I'm currently wearing one right now, based on another criteria search through the Able Sisters app. And then we can go into the Cryptid Museum. And as you enter, here's the little welcome center / staging area before you enter the actual exhibit in the back. There's more photo opportunities and magazines and pamphlets. You can check out what's been investigated in the past and what's currently being investigated in the town. And if you go into the back room, here's the official exhibit. As you enter, you're kind of immersed. Very weird situation here. If you've ever been to a cryptid museum, you know there's going to be video of, or there's going to be TV footage of interviews and information that you can read, newspaper clipping, possible sounds that you can listen to, possible pieces of evidence. I have a coelacanth here, which actually was a cryptid at one point, but was proven to be real. You have various samplings and evidence in a case over here. I have a picture of Jack the Pumpkinhead here. He could definitely be a cryptid. You of course have Bigfoot and the resident star cryptid Mothman and Braxy. And what cryptid lineup isn't complete without Nessie or Champy from Lake Champlain? We exit the exhibit and go to the left. I believe this is just a bathroom that coincidentally has roaches. Oh, our health code is not going to be very good this month, but it looks like somebody might have dropped something in here. There's posters all over town, I guess. What is a Cryptid Museum bathroom without propaganda? And then to the right is the gift shop. And with most cryptid museums or exhibits, you can buy t-shirts and snack hats and all sorts of different kind of things, possibly even plushies and toys, books about sightings and all the different types of cryptids and lore. And both the upstairs and the basement are decorated. We'll go to the basement first. And the basement is a basement complete with creepy crawlies and all sorts of little things, stuff that the museum uses here and there. It was put down here. What is that back over there? We need to go back upstairs. If we go upstairs, this is where my living quarters are, as well as where I run the podcast with Biscuit. As with most old buildings, I do live above the museum. There's usually an apartment above those types of places. It used to be old pharmacies or drugstores, stuff like that. The Flatwoods Museum in Braxton is actually run out of an old pharmacy. And of course, over here is where we do our investigations and our podcasts about the lore and cryptid lore in the area. We've had both Roswell and Ruby on as guests, though Ruby is trying to convince us otherwise that she's just a regular rabbit. Meanwhile, Roswell is trying to get some actual hard proof that he has been taken somewhere else multiple times. Well, that's it for the Cryptid Museum. And if we exit back out, we will be back out on the road, past Able Sisters and Nooks, back to the main town hall area, and back at the airport. There aren't many access points to the beaches on this island, as it's not supposed to be anywhere near a beach. There are 1 or 2 access points if need be, but I did keep some old things from my old island over here, because why would I not? But there's our Cryptid Core Town, and there goes Jeremiah again. I really hope you enjoyed this quick tour, and I'll be updating the stream address very soon. Here it is one more time before I update it, meaning this is my old town, and I will be updating to this new town within a few days. Thanks so much for joining me throughout this entire series as I built up this Cryptid Core Town. I had so much fun doing lives and creating videos for this town, doing villager hunts and all sorts of stuff. So thank you so much for joining me along for this ride. After I update the dream code, I will be resetting for the first time in 5 years. So I hope you guys come along for that ride as well. And remember, if you want to come and join me for my first reset 5 years, hit that notification bell and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this series, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!